This is KGW News at noon.
We start this noon hour with breaking news of a police shooting in Northeast Portland. It happened within the last hour on Northeast 92nd Drive, not far from the Cascade Station's shopping center. At this point, we don't have very many details, but investigators tell us no officers were hurt. We don't know about the severity of potential injuries to anyone else, though. We do have a crew headed to the scene, and we will make sure to update you whenever we get additional information. And to another big story today, we are talking weather. This, not exactly what you want to see on your commute. You can see the aftermath of a crash involving a manure truck on I-5 in the Salmon Creek area of Clark County. So this all happened just before 8:30 this morning near the I-205 junction. They've cleared out the northbound lanes from this morning, but southbound is still stop and go. So if you're heading that direction, expect delays. Washington State Police say the driver was minorly injured and the only damage was to the truck and the roadway. Police are at this point looking into the cause, but witnesses say they saw a pickup cut the manure truck off. Okay, let's take a look at the roads in Portland now. I think we're switching gears to look at southbound I-5, the interchange going toward 405. You can see some slow going for sure. A heads up for drivers. There are definitely still some dicey spots out there, so just be careful when you're driving. Thanks for joining us here at noon. I'm Christine Pitowanich. Let's get right to Rod, because I know, Rod, you've been busy all day long and everyone is looking forward to a break.
Yeah, the end is in sight, and the rain rates overall in most areas have been starting to let up in the past couple of hours. And we've seen some parts of roadways where we've had eyeballs on where there were big puddles. We've seen that start to improve somewhat out there, but overall it's still really wet, right? Here's the radar behind me, and we've got steady rain still coming up. When you get just south of Salem, it's all entirely light rain that's almost ready to start fizzling. Here's some good news. I had this graphic filled with river flood warnings when we did sunrise this morning, but now at noon, only the Wilson, Siletz, and Cowlitz counties in our entire region continue to be under a flood warning. And all three of these rivers are now down somewhat, right to within the inch or so of flood stage, and will be receding this afternoon. So by the time we get to the 4 and 5 o'clock news today, these warnings likely will be over. The Wilson River has already come down some 4 feet today. It was a 16 feet. Now it's sitting right there around that 12-foot flood stage. Here's the improvement. This is Futurecast. Note the time, 4:30, little ways down the road yet. But this would be the tail end of what has been steady rain going back to Monday evening. Finally getting out of here. We're drying coming up through Salem, starting to come up into Portland, and then drying at the coast. Now, there will be scattered shower threats continuing this evening, but the steady rain will be over. Boy, you can see how muddy brown the Willamette is with all the rain and debris come and run off into it. Still pretty mild out. We're at 52 degrees. Temperatures are going to be pretty steady for the remainder of this afternoon. Not much wind. Snow levels, don't forget, if you're going to be traveling tonight into tomorrow over the Cascades, those snow levels will be back down to 3,000 feet. So getting back to a more typical weather pattern in my complete forecast coming up, Christine.
Yes, cannot wait for the rain to lighten up. Thanks, Rod. So in the last 24 hours, though, gosh, we've seen a lot, from landslides to flooding. Take a look at this video. It was taken yesterday. It shows a dramatic rescue along the Grays River in southwest Washington. A note, right now at noon, that river is receding and is below flood stage. But wow, you can see how high it got. That person there on top of their car near Roseburg, Washington in Wahkiakum County. The Coast Guard ended up saving her and 4 others in that same area who were also stranded.
Here it goes. The road's going. Boom!
And wow, take a look at that. That is the result of a waterlogged stretch of SR 503 near Cougar, Washington. Today, transportation officials are out assessing the damage. They say water running underneath the road started to erode the pavement, causing a big chunk of it, you can see it right there, to just collapse. And in Vancouver, a landslide is blocking train tracks and disrupting Amtrak service between Portland and Seattle. We talked to passengers who still made it to Portland last night. They just had to use some different transportation.
I was pretty much on time for the most part. I think I'm about 30 minutes late, and it was a comfortable ride and worked out okay.
Yeah, glad it worked out for him. Service is expected to resume by tomorrow morning. Trains running between Portland and Eugene are not affected. Stay with us for more weather coverage all day long, of course. You can also find the latest information online at our KGW website. Now to an update on the off-duty pilot accused of trying to bring down an Alaska Airlines flight over Oregon. He's no longer looking at attempted murder charges. Instead, he's facing less serious charges, which means he could be released from jail this week. The updated charges include endangering an aircraft and 83 counts of recklessly endangering another person. In late October, investigators say Joseph Emerson, tried to cut the plane's engines while riding in the cockpit off duty, traveling from Everett to San Francisco. He'd said he had taken psychedelic mushrooms 48 hours before the flight. Emerson's lawyers say he thought he was dreaming. The plane had to make an emergency landing in Portland. He's expected back in court this afternoon at 1:30. And we've also got an update to a terrible story involving a 6-year-old boy killed in a dog attack yesterday morning in Northeast Portland. Police tell us Multnomah County Animal Services has put down the 2 dogs that mauled the boy. Animal Services say they also have a 3rd dog that was inside the house at the time. Police are still investigating, and at this point, we don't know if the dog's owner will be charged with any crimes. Police are also investigating after a car hit and killed a pedestrian in Northeast Portland. It happened on 122nd Avenue near Gleason just before 10 o'clock last night. Police found the person dead at the scene. We don't know the name of the person killed, but officers say the driver stayed and cooperated with the investigation. PPB, though, is asking anyone who may have seen what happened to call its tip line. And Gresham firefighters are demanding more protection from city leaders. They testified at a city council meeting last night, saying their stations are dangerously outdated and also understaffed. On top of all that, they say 2 crew members are fighting battles with cancer related to fighting fires, and another firefighter, they say, has died from it. Catherine Cook has the story.
Drivers honking in support of Gresham firefighters. Loved ones who organized this rally want to feel that same support from city leaders.
It just doesn't seem like that's been happening.
Jessica Thran's husband, Bo, has been a Gresham firefighter for 10 years. She's worried about his health. Here's one reason why. Stats from Local 1062, the Gresham Firefighters Union, show the city's population has more than doubled since 1990. And their emergency call volume, it's grown by more than 300%. But staffing has remained the same. 24 firefighters a day. Today, according to the union, Gresham firefighters work an average of 59 hours a week, including Bo.
I think he worked like 5 of the last 6 days. He's working Christmas, he worked Thanksgiving. I mean, we have 2 kids at home, so it's like I've just gotten used to it, but it's not normal.
Firefighters say extended shifts mean extended exposure to cancer-causing chemicals, which all firefighters face. But here in Gresham, members say their hazardous working conditions eclipse normal.
Not one of our stations is up to code, and these are our homes, and they're killing us.
Battalion Chief Keston Kim and several others testified before Gresham City Council Tuesday. They described fire stations where crews sleep with no safe buffers between them and diesel exhaust from fire engines. They described sewage leaks, lead in the water, and other toxic malfunctions like at Station 75 in Troutdale. Lieutenant Anthony Foster remembers back in March when he worked a shift there. He got so sick, he ended up in the hospital.
The crews, with the help of the fleet, discovered that the truck batteries on the fire engine had been burning our entire shift, filling the station with the byproducts, including sulfuric acid.
And then there's Brian Flowers. The Gresham firefighter worked at Station 75 for the last 10 years. Last month, he died of occupational cancer. Right now, 2 other firefighters are also fighting occupational cancer. Members believe all related to their working conditions. And in February, Gresham firefighter Brandon Norbury died of cardiac arrest during training.
City leadership showed up to the emergency room the day Brandon Norbury died as we grieved over his body. They saw the same dead firefighter we saw. Since then, no change. And in fact, the opposite.
Firefighters are demanding a staffing increase, safe working spaces, and environmental tests to show where they stand now. In the end, Gresham Mayor Travis Stovall and other council members said they were at a loss and vowed to respond.
I'm going to be completely honest with you, the city of Gresham has failed you, and I have failed you.
Catherine Cook, KGW News.
Last night, the Gresham City Council agreed to hire an industrial hygienist to assess the fire stations. Next week, the mayor and 2 council members will be meeting with firefighter leadership to start trying to come up with solutions. And people in Southern Oregon who survived a 2020 wildfire have agreed to settle a lawsuit against PacifiCorp. The power company will pay $299 million for damages related to the Archie Creek fire, which burned over 131,000 acres and more than 100 homes in Douglas County. The lawsuit alleged PacifiCorp was negligent and responsible for the fire. This settlement is in addition to the more than $90 million awarded to survivors of 4 other 2020 wildfires. The company could still owe millions more through class action elements of the lawsuit.